Welcome to this edition of Miles Ahead, and you join us on this cold January afternoon in a car park in Effingham to look at this, the Cupra Formentor. Now I'll give it its full title up front. It is the Cupra Formentor E-Hybrid 1.4 TSI VZ1 245 PS DSG. Catchy. So as you may have gathered there, this is the hybrid version. So it being a hybrid, I'm duty bound to talk about benefit and kind rates because there's no other reason for getting a hybrid unless you're getting it as a company car. The bit rate on this is 11%. For comparison, the petrol equivalent is 34%. Let's have a look round. So I think this is a really good looking car. I think crossovers are very difficult to get right, but I think Cupra have done a great job with this. Really like these LED headlights, positioning of the fog lights suits it. I think these front grills, they look really good. They just suit the car. Lots been said about the badge. I quite like it. I quite like the copper accenting on it. I think it contrasts well with the car. I've seen this in the dark blue, they do as well, and it is fantastic. This is urban silver, and it being the VZ1 package, one of the most noticeable upgrades you get with that are these 19-inch wheels. As standard, the Cupra Formentor comes on 18s. These are the upgraded 19s. I think they look really good. You can see the brakes in there. We'll get to them on the drive along. They do a really good job as well. But as we come around the side, see a bit of contrasting there between the urban silver. You get the darker layer at the bottom. Also get contrasting wing mirrors as well. And as we come round, you get privacy glass at the rear, and you get these gloss black roof rails as well. And you notice the sloping headline. Now you might be tempted to conclude that would pinch a bit of headroom. Let's have a look. It's actually really spacious back here. There's plenty of headroom. The driver's seat's in my position. For reference, I'm 6'2". Loads of space in here, no drama at all. Really nice lighting back here. And if you come in a bit closer, you see, so you get 3 zone climate control, so you get your own climate control in the rear here, and you get 2 USB-C chargers as well. So no complaints. You get Isofix as well, so you can get the kids in as well. As we come around the back, again, I think it looks really good from this angle as well. You get privacy glass there. I really like this rear tail light going all the way across. I think that looks really good. You do get the rear diffuser, but that's very much there for show. And this being the hybrid, these exhausts are fake. They're just there for a bit of show. But again, aesthetically, I think they look quite good. One other oddity to note about this car, you'll notice it says Cupra along there, so there's no mistaking what it is. Nowhere on or in this car does it say the word Formentor, so you have to know what you're looking at for that. There must be a reason for that. I don't know what it is. But while we're back here, we shall have a look at the boot as well. So you get 345 litres of boot space, more than enough room. You can drop the rear seats, and these are the bags for the charging cables. But anyway, let's see what it's like inside. So this is the driver's seat of the Cupra Formentor E-Hybrid. First impressions, I do quite like it in here. It's very comfortable. These black bucket seats, part of the VZ1 package, they're very comfortable. They're not leather, they're cloth, but they're not heated either, which is one minor complaint. But otherwise, when you're sitting in them, they're very comfortable, and ultimately that is what seats need to be. They're manually adjustable as well, but you can adjust your lumbar support. So there's the catch on the side here that will puff a bit out in the small of your back to your chosen setting, and you also get Isofix points in the front as well, so you can get 3 child seats in this car. Otherwise, I mean, it looks like it's got leather in here. It hasn't. As you can hear, it's a bit scratchy. So, I mean, it is mostly plastic, and the plastic obviously gets cheaper the lower down you go in the cabin. But I don't mind it. It feels reasonably well put together, and it feels spacious in here because it feels like a much bigger car than it actually is. So it feels like there's loads of room in here, and that's helped by the acres of headroom you get. And the only thing it's perhaps missing is a panoramic roof, but you're sort of splitting hairs there. Would be nice to maybe just have a little bit more light in here. Otherwise, it's quite good functionality in here. So you get the wireless phone charging port at the front here, so you can leave your phone on there. You get 2 USB-C chargers down there as well. You get these gear changes, which are sort of becoming a bit of a staple of the VW group now. And as we come down here, you get a couple of cup holders, one large, one small, storage bin in here, which also has a 12-volt battery socket. Another thing that I like about VW group cars is the adjustability in the armrest in the front. So if you lift it up slowly, you can change the height of it. So it's really quite adjustable to where you want it to be when you're driving. I think that's quite a good feature. I'm surprised more cars don't have that. As we come across, so if you want to release the petrol cap, The button is down here at the front, and you can also release the boot internally from down here as well. You get the door bins down there. They're not massive, but there's enough storage space in here. And talking of storage space, we should probably have a look at the glove box. Yeah, it's big enough. You get things in there, that's all that matters really, isn't it? As we come across to the touch screen, I quite like the way that this is all laid out. Actually, it's very easy to use. The only note of complaint is the HVAC. So you're supposed to use these sliders to adjust the temperature, but it's not all that accurate, and it's the same for the volume across here. And another problem with them is they're not backlit, so at night you can't necessarily see what you're doing that easily. We had the same problem when we reviewed the Seat Leon e-hybrid a few videos ago. It's the same system as in that. I do like it. It's very easy to use once you know your way around it. That would be the only minor note of complaint. You get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so you can flick across and you can have your Spotify, Google Maps, all that business on there. You can change your driver profile settings in here as well. So comforts, obviously, that slackens everything off, and that is really soft setting. Then you've got sport, which is sort of your medium zone, then Cupra, which is your all-on aggressive, and you get individual as well, which is highly configurable. So you've got this slider across here to set exactly how firm you want the suspension to be, and you can change the steering from here as well. But we'll touch more upon the steering and the ride quality on the drive along. Steering wheel, typically VW group as well, volume control on the left. You know, you can adjust the view that you get in the binocle from there as well. Shout out to the cruise control on this. The adaptive cruise control, as it was in the Seat Leon as well, is excellent in this. The lane keep assist isn't too fussy, very easy to use, and I quite like that. And the steering wheel is also heated, which is much appreciated at this time of year, because it is a mere 2 degrees outside, which does affect the traction of the car, which we should probably get onto now as we see what it's like to drive. So I mentioned traction because have a listen to this. It's just really difficult to get the power down in this car. It's extraordinary, and this hasn't been happening to just me as well. My wife's been driving it as well, and I can tell you that she is not an aggressive driver, but she was saying every time I try and pull away, the front wheels just spin up. I mean, I was trying to drive aggressively there just to, you know, try and get the engine noise coming through as well, and all, actually get the augmented sound in here, and it does sound quite good actually. But it's front wheel drive, all 245 horsepower going through there, and you cannot get the power down. I know it's suboptimal conditions, being 2 degrees and the surface of the road is slightly greasy, but it's been happening all week everywhere I've gone, and it's a little bit irritating. There's been a couple of times when I've just been looking to pull away from the lights and the wheels are spinning up. You're going, I'm not driving aggressively, I just want to drive forwards, and it seems to struggle with that concept, which is a little bit disappointing. Other complaints on this, the traction continues to be pretty poor when you're flinging it about. So if you throw it into a roundabout, I'm not going to do it on this bit, it just doesn't grip. I mean, it really struggles for grip. And sort of dynamically, it's a little bit impotent. It just lollops about a bit. It doesn't feel great. I mean, I've got it in Cupra mode at the moment. That makes it stiffer, makes the steering a little bit heavier. And the steering's another note of complaint. I mean, it's sharp enough, it's accurate enough, but you don't get any feedback through it at all. And you don't get too much feedback through the chassis either, which is a little bit disappointing. I was expecting more from it with the Cupra badging, that being the more sporting arm of Seat. I was expecting a bit more from this. I suspect that once you get into the 310 horsepower four-wheel drive version of this, it probably brings this car to life a bit more, although I would have some reservations about how well the chassis would cope with that. I guess there is only one way to find out. I shall have to ask Cupra if they will lend me one of those to have a look at. Other than that, if you're not trying to drive aggressively, if you're just using A to B, and as we mentioned at the top, the only real justification for getting a hybrid is if you are getting it as a company car, this is fine. If you're doing long journeys in this, you're going to be very comfortable in here. Everything's very nice, and when you're running it in EV only mode, in fact I've switched that now while we're just pottering around, everything's just nice and quiet. And I'm going to flick it back into comfort as well, and then that just slackens everything off, and it noticeably slackens everything off as well. It's actually much nicer in this mode. So you're driving it around in EV, and this suits the profile of this car much more, just doing the mundane stuff. I'm sure if you're doing long motorway journeys in this and that sort of thing, running the kids to and from school, that'd be great. You get stated EV only range of about 30 miles. As usual, you're probably realistically going to get just over 20, but if you can keep it topped up, your MPG is going to be perfectly acceptable. I haven't topped the battery up on this, I haven't put any petrol in it. We've done 150 miles in this car now, and I have achieved 38.2 MPG, which is pretty good because that has included included some more spirited driving. As I mentioned, you know, we've tried to do the 0 to 60 tests in this. It's supposed to do it in 7 seconds. Closest we've got is 7.5. That's of course because you can't get the power down. So if you're not driving like that, you're going to get well over 40 mpg in this car, which is fine, which is exactly what you'd want from a car like this. But now we're into sort of more boring driving. This definitely suits this car much more. If you're looking for B-road thrills and spills, this car is going to disappoint, unfortunately, which is, yeah, it's been a bit underwhelming actually. I was expecting more, like I say, from that Cupra badge, I was expecting this to be more dynamically competent than it is, and it's been a little bit disappointing, but you know, it is what it is. For the reason you buy a hybrid, pottering around as a company car, it fits the bill. There's loads of space in here, as I mentioned, and that's fine. But in terms of the hybrids, I mentioned the Seat Leon E hybrid that we reviewed last time. I actually preferred that to this. It was more fun to drive. It was more engaging. It was definitely better on a B road. You could throw it about a bit, and it responded well to that sort of driving. This doesn't. Now that car is £5,000 cheaper than this, comes in at just over 34. This is just under £40,000. So, okay, this is more practical. The boot's about 60 litres bigger. There is a bit more space in the back and all that sort of stuff. And this undoubtedly looks better. And aesthetics, I appreciate, are important. But if you were paying out of your own pocket, you could get the non-hybrid version of the Seat Leon, and that comes in, I think it was about £27,000. So you could save yourself about £12,000 out of your own pocket and get a car that's as good to drive, has the same infotainment system, the same toys as this. Okay, it doesn't look as nice, has a little bit less room in it, but I mean, 12 grand's worth of less room? I'm not so sure. I think actually quite like that Leon, but I think there might be a perception issue here, because I wasn't expecting to enjoy the Leon, and I did, and I've been expecting to enjoy this, and I haven't. So, you know, draw your own conclusions from that. This is a very good car. It's very nicely put together. It's very nice to drive, but yeah, like I mentioned, if you're looking for dynamic competence and all that sort of stuff, it is underwhelming, and that is a bit of a shame. You can get into the VZ2 edition with the 310 horsepower four-wheel drive version for, well, once you're factoring on the road taxes, I think it's just a shade under £2,000 more than this, and that's got to be the tempter. If it's coming out of your own back pocket, that's got to be where the money goes. I can't really see a case for buying this outside of ticking the box on a company car list, unfortunately. Yeah, it's been a little bit disappointing to drive, which has been a bit of a shame. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please hit like, and please also consider subscribing. We've got loads of videos on the channel, and we've got loads more coming up. Up next, sticking with the hybrids, although I've got a slightly different beast in the Polestar 1. I've been looking forward to reviewing that for quite some time. And then after that, we're going EV only with the Tesla Model 3 Performance. We're going to put that through its paces, and we're talking to loads of manufacturers about a load of other videos coming up too. So please hit subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Thanks.